It is my pleasure. Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce you all, Dr. Sagar Kulkarni, sir. Dr. Sagar Kulkarni, sir. Sir has done his MBBS from GMC Dhule. Sir has done DNB from GMC Nanded. And sir is currently working as a consultant pediatrician and director of Bhakti Children's Hospital, Aurangabad. Sir has worked in many esteemed hospitals. Sir was assistant lecturer in GMC Dhule. Sir has worked in Ruby Hall Clinic and many more. Sir has many publications to his credit. Sir was editor-in-chief and contributing author for Vaccinology Simplified book published by IIP Aurangabad. Sir was contributing author of Table Book of Immunization 2017 published by IIP Aurangabad. Sir has many articles in Maharashtra State IIP Bulletin and articles in State Conference Seminar book. Sir was faculty in various national and state pediatric conferences, especially related to vaccinology. Sir was a secretary of IIP Aurangabad branch for 2 years, 2019 and 20, and held joint secretary, treasurer, executive board member of IIP Aurangabad branch. Sir was a course coordinator and faculty in certified course of immunization practices organized by IIP Aurangabad, and sir was co-secretary of critical care conference Mahapedi Criticon. Sir was organizing secretary for many CMEs and conferences, workshops organized during his tenure as secretary. Sir, it is our pleasure and honor to have you, sir. And I request you to guide us on importance of full dose of DTaP and IPV in preschool children. I request you to kindly proceed with your talk, sir.
Thank you very much for such a kind introduction. But a small introduction was enough that I am still a student of vaccinology, and I am here to interact with all. And I'll be very happy to have one-to-one word of conversation with you at the end. I would like you to ask me questions at the end, and I would like to learn something from you. Then only I will say that this was a successful conference. So thank you. So still a student, and still thank you for the introduction. First of all, let me thank Dr. Sangeeta Kumboskar, Madam, the President of KAP, Dr. Sunil Patil, Sir, Secretary of KAP, and Dr. Amit Chauhan, Treasurer, for organizing this beautiful CMA along with Sanofi Pasteur. So let us start with our lecture. The basic topic is importance of full dose DTaP IPV preschool boosters. And here we are going to emphasize on the need and the relevance of school entry boosters. So I first of all thank you Sanofi for providing me some slides which I have used here in my presentation. So let me start with the summary. What does WHO says? Let us start with our basics. We know that we are using this pentavalent or hexavalent vaccines at 6 weeks, 10 weeks, and 14 weeks. But the Western world, they use it at 2 months, 4 months, and 6 months. But we know that Government of India, it believes in early immunization. It believes in rigorous immunization. And moreover, the disease incidence is always earlier in our country. So basically, we can't wait like Western world for 2 months, 3 months. There are many countries which are starting diphtheria immunization at the 4 months also. But we cannot afford to do that because many of our infants will otherwise get infected. Also, we know that as far as polio is concerned, Government of India is still following the sequential schedule. They are giving OPV along with IPV. But we as IIPians, what our ACVIP says, that we have to give only birth OPV and all others should be IPV. Now at present, what we are recommending is IPV at 6, 10, 14, booster at 18 months, and recently a booster has been added at the 5 years dose also. Hepatitis B and HIP at 3 doses. Now remember what we are talking more about today is the boosters. So first booster is between 12 to 23 months. The second booster is between 4 to 6 years. And the third booster is between 9 to 14 years. What I would like to emphasize at this point that there is a range. So the range of the second booster is from 4 years to 6 years. And what we mean by 6 years is 6 years, 11 months and 30 days. So remember, even if the child comes to you at the age of, let us say, 6 years and 10 months, still you will have to use this full D and full T AP vaccine, that is DTaP vaccine. So remember this thing before we go on further ahead. Similarly, in the third dose, the range is from 9 years to 14 years. So even if the child comes to it at 9.5 years, or let us say it comes at 13.5 years, you are still supposed to give the Tdap booster, and that will be considered as a second booster. Okay. So has any new ACVIP guidelines come? Just a minute, I'll take a point, use a pointer also. Has some ACVIP guidelines come recently? Yes, recently under the guidance of Dr. Srinivas Kasi sir, recent ACVIP guidelines were given in 2021, and it specifically mentions that a booster of IPV should be given at the age of 4 to 6 years, and that should be a full dose booster. It also says that even if you give it in a combination form, DTAP plus IPV, then it is acceptable and approved. So IAP ACVIP approves the use of Tetraxim, which is a recent brand which is available since last 2 years, to be used at the age of 4 to 6 years. So the recommendations which were global, now they have become local. Okay. So what has made us to think, let us go on to the basics first. So this is the ACVIP chart 2021. And if you see, now OPV is there only at birth, but later on, they have stopped all OPV. Initially, at least OPV was there at 6 months and 9 months. Now IIP has removed the 6 month and 9 month dose also. So now what IIP is recommending is 3 doses, the primary series, a 18 months booster of IPV and a 5 years booster of IPV. So what is remaining for OPV is, one is the birth dose, and second is children are allowed the polio in pulse polio immunization program. So naturally, let us say that every year the child will receive 1 in the pulse polio. So in total, in 5 years, the child is going to receive as such 6 OPV, but the rest should be all IPV only. As far as Tdap is concerned, you can see Tdap is now recommended by IAP, ACVIP also from the age group of 9 to 14 years. So this is the same chart, but a little bit expanded one, that we have to use either DTAP or DTP along with a full dose IPV at the age of 5 years. Now, the question is, why polio booster? So suddenly, because a standalone polio has come to the market, or because Tetraxim has come to the market, so are we pushing the product just because it is available? No, it is not like that. In fact, it was us, we were demanding that IPV should be made available as soon as possible. What is the problem? The problem is, everyone knows that we have to reduce the use of OPV. OPV is causing this CVDPV, that is circulating vaccine derived polio virus, and also OPV is related to vaccine associated paralytic polio. CVDPV has created a havoc, friends. Let me tell you, more than 1,000 cases of CVDPV have occurred in 2020. So it is something like a bioterrorism which is going on. So we are using OPV, it is creating CVDPV, and now it is creating, or it is backfiring us. So we know that our initial end game polio program was that we were supposed to stop using OPV by 2019, but we have missed the target. So now the time has come that we should stop using OPV, and whenever possible, you have to replace it with IPV. Remember, friends, even when you give a IM doses of IPV as a form of hexavalent vaccine in private practice, don't use OPV. Government, they are using OPV along with fractional IPV, agreed. But in private practice, you are not supposed to administer IM IPV also and OPV also. Reduce the use of OPV. The second point is, now there is bivalent polio. Trivalent has gone out after switch. So we don't have anything against type 2. So what we have against type 2 is only IPV now. So that is the important. The third point is that switch occurred in 2016. Everyone was supposed to get IPV, but IPV was not there. It was in severe shortage. So there was this big birth cohort which has not received IPV even after the switch has occurred. And these children are now 5 years old, but they have not received a single dose of IPV. So that is the importance, that now at least we have a chance to give them a 5 years of IPV. Remember, friends, when you give OPV for 5 or 6 doses also, the efficacy reaches hardly 70-80%. We all know that. But if we give one IPV, let it be at 14 weeks, or even if let it be at 18 months or 5 years, it is going to give a very good boosting in an already prime child. Now, someone will think that will IPV give boosting to mucosal immunity? Yes, yes. Friends, IPV, though it is an injectable polio, it not only gives boosting to the humoral antibodies, but it gives boosting to the intestinal immunity also. So then there was a question that there is no type 2 oral polio now. So how come IPV is giving boosting to type 2 also? But there was a Jacob-John study which indicated that there is something called as cross heterotypic priming also. So IPV is giving boosting not only to type 1 and type 3, it is giving boosting to type 2 intestinal immunity also. So that is a great advantage. And the next point, we know that IPV is not going to give you lifelong immunity. There is bound to be waning immunity. So this 5-year IPV is going to act as booster. Now, there are some countries which are having adolescent and adult polio. It has not been documented in India, but we don't want also such thing. Our AFP surveillance is very good, but why to take a chances? If we have a 5-year booster that is going to take care for more 5 years, then preferably it is a thing of importance. So these are all the factors why IPV is required at the age of 5 years. And moreover, we know that India is a danger. We are at the mercy of Afghanistan and Pakistan. We are at their neighbors. Afghanistan, Pakistan is like a potential bomb. They are still having wild polio viruses. They are still having so many cases of CVDPV type 1, type 2, and few of type 3. Remember, Malaysia, Philippines, they had nothing for many, many years. No wild polio, no CVDPV, but suddenly cases of CVDPV were noted in Malaysia. They were noted in Philippines, and from one the cases raised to 10 and 11. So that was a very big jolt to those countries, and they immediately got the importance. What is the importance of maintaining the immunity of the population? We are in the neighborhood of Pakistan, India, so we cannot let our guard down, and that is the importance that we have to increase the immunity of our population by giving IPV, and that to a full course. This was a recent data till June, I think. And remember, last year there were 317 cases of wild poliovirus. In Afghanistan also there were 21 cases. Now this is a very recent data till last month, which shows that in year 2020 here, there were 1,052 cases of CVDPV type 2. So this is really a surprising situation. And you see in 2021 also, still there are 75 cases. Now we must be wondering that how come 3 times increase in CVDPV has occurred, and now it is also surprising that we have stopped using type 2 oral polio long back in 2016. WHO had given guidelines to all the countries that they should stop using. How come that we are still seeing CVDPV type 2 also? Now remember, friends, that according to a mathematical calculation, we will have to keep a watch of at least 5 years after we stop using OPV. So that is a period where CVDPV can be visualized. So what happened that in initial years, WHO gave the recommendation, but there were many poor countries, African countries, Nigeria, they did not stop using TOPV. They continued to use TOPV. So what happened? Already the population was not immunized properly. Already there was a loss of immunity, lack of immunity. So there was an emergence of CVDPV type 2 because of usage of TOPV. And then when they noticed it, what was there in their hand was to again use MOPV type 2 to control this CVDPV type 2. But we know whenever we are going to use a OPV, it will cause seeding of the virus in the community. And whenever there will be seeding of the virus in community, again, there is a chance of CVDPV2. So this vicious cycle then goes on. When there is CVDPV2, again, what is left to us is using OPV only to control it. And this vicious cycle goes on and goes on. The only thing which can prevent creation of CVDPV2 is that we have to use IPV and we have to stop using OPV. So this is a very dangerous situation. Now, there are many people who say that, sir, in India, there is no polio now. The last polio case was there in Jan 2011. So why do you worry so much? Then, no, this is the thing you have to worry. As I said, We have seen the case with Philippines. They were also quite relaxed, but now they are under all tension. We know that CVDP can come from anywhere, and we have to maintain our immunity. Already we lie under the high risk category because we are neighbors of Afghanistan and Pakistan. So that very clearly gives you a broad basic concept that IPV is required. And therefore, IIP says that you have to give IPV at 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 14 weeks, a booster at 18 months. And now they say that if you want good boosting of immunity, you have to give it at 5 years also, so that you will further get immunity for more 5 years. But let us say if I decide not to give, then what? Then the seroprotection rates are going to fall down. For poliovirus 1 and poliovirus 2, it will fall down to 91 to 91%. So 10% of population will again be at risk. So there was one concept that no, this polio is going to give lifelong immunity, but no, it was not proved that the T cell immunity or the memory cells, they are going to take care of paralytic polio or infections. There was no such confirmed evidence. Also, there was no confirmed evidence that if you use only 3 doses in the primary series, or let us say if you use 2 doses as fractional doses, that immunity will suffice lifelong. There is no such study. So whatever studies are there, it shows that a booster has to be given. And when you will give a 5-year booster, there will be a jump in antibodies to the tune of 32-fold to 55-fold. So that is the importance of giving a school entry booster if you want to have good effect. So we know that even IPV immunity goes down. And when you give IPV, the cup feels like that. And remember, as I said, that there is no such confirmed study which says that T cell immunity or memory cell immunity will take case of reinfection or will take care of paralytic disease. What is more important is pre-existing immunity, and for that booster is required. Then there was a thought, whenever you create a combination vaccine, will all the antigen in that vaccine work? So this was a study done on 619 subjects, and it specifically showed that there was a very good boosting or anamnestic response, and the seroprotective titers were very well above what was the level which we were supposed to achieve. The second part is, what about tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis? Are cases still there? So this is the recent data from 2017 to 2019. So tetanus, 4,900 cases, diphtheria, 5,200 cases, pertussis, more than 23,000 cases. And we all know that this is all underreporting. So what is the actual count? God only knows. So in 2020, in spite of all the COVID restrictions and people at home wearing masks, still diphtheria 1842 cases were reported, pertussis 390, and tetanus 81. This is a recent data which has been taken from a WHO paper. And as I'm talking now, this is a very recent 2021 data till June 2021, and you can still see many cases of diphtheria, pertussis, and tetanus. And as I always say, this is gross underreporting. We know that actual figures are so many times. So this is the same WHO paper. It also gives in which state and which district there are so many cases. And this actually shows that what is the age group. So this is a chart which are showing you the age group of, this is a chart which is showing you the pertussis. So if you see this blue, you can clearly see that 20% of cases are above the age of 5 to 10 years. So what does it indicate? That our children are losing the immunity. There is waning of immunity. Now this is a chart which shows what is the age of people or children who are getting diphtheria. This blue one, 10%, is above 16 years. This pink is 10 to 16 years. And this 31% is from 5 to 10 years. So now this is quite surprising, isn't it? Now what we are thinking is that diphtheria is a disease of childhood below 5 years or so. But is it so? You can see from this WHO chart that 65% cases of diphtheria are occurring after the age of 5 years. So where are we missing? What is going wrong? And what is going wrong is the main reason that we are missing on boosters. Our booster coverage of 5 years is hardly 30 to 40%. Our booster coverage of 10 years is hardly 10 to 15%. And we know that as a private practitioner, we are hardly giving 10% of vaccination. Government gives 90% of vaccination, but they are also falling short of. Okay. So this is a chart which says that how many percentage of children are actually receiving boosters. Leave apart booster. Let me tell you this brown chart. You can see 41%. 41% of children have not taken a single dose of DPT. Quite surprising, isn't it? We are giving DPT vaccines in so many decades, but we are still at that stage that 41% of children are not receiving a single dose also. And the rest of the children, they are receiving 1 dose, 2 dose, or 3 dose. They are not receiving the full series of 3+1+1+1. They are receiving the part immunization, and that is what is causing the most of the problem. Now here, this is a WHO chart. Okay, so it takes into account all the vaccination which is going on in our India and every state. And as I have said, that 90% of immunization, who is doing? Government is doing. What is government using is WP vaccine, wholesale pertussis vaccine. So is it so that a child has received a booster at 18 months, so is going to be protected from 50 or 20 years? Has this happened in India? No. So this whole population, you can see from WHO chart itself, that though most of the vaccinations which are taking place are WP vaccine, it is not causing that impact that it is going to give you 15 or 20 years of immunity. So waning of immunity happens with WP vaccine also. And as we always say that cellular pertussis vaccine, it works from 5 to 10 years. So waning of immunity happens with cellular pertussis also. But why are we stressing on regular booster? We know that doesn't this vaccine give rise to T cell or memory cells? See, there are two types of diseases. One is those who are having a long incubation period, like hepatitis B, hepatitis A, HPV. The incubation period is so long that after the infection, the memory cells take care of the infection. But there are some diseases which are having a very, very short incubation period, like diphtheria, tetanus, Hib, pneumococcal, and meningococcal. So the incubation period is so small that there is no time for the memory cells to get activated. And so what we are depending on is pre-existing immunity. That is a constant level of antibodies what is required. And how can we get a constant level of antibody? Just by giving boosters, boosters, and boosters. Now, this was a chart about USA. It said that there were outbreaks in the year 2013, 2015, and even USA, which is having a good immunity coverage and even good data surveillance also. You can see this orange part. This orange part is from 7 to 10 years, and this yellow part is from 11 to 19 years. There also the same thing has occurred, that resurgence or epidemics or outbreaks have occurred in adolescent age because they were missing on boosters and the coverage. So antibodies are going to decline, friends. They are going to decline irrespective of whether you use cellular pertussis like the American data or you use WP pertussis as you see the WHO Indian data. Antibody levels are going to decline, that is for sure. So these are the study in cellular pertussis prime child. You can see that the seroprotection goes down. The GMT titers also goes down by the age of 5 years. This drop is seen with diphtheria also, tetanus also, pertussis toxin also, and FHA also. And when a booster is given at 5 years, the seroprotection jumps to 100%, and the GMT titers goes on rising 20 to 50 fold. That is what. So is it different with WP prime children? Now, this is a data with WP prime, but the same thing. The seroprotection goes down, the antibody titers goes down, and when you give booster at 5 years, again the seroprotection goes up to 100%, and the GMT titers go up. So the point to tell it, whether it is a WP child, a prime child, or AP prime child, there is bound to occur waning of immunity, and what is required is boosters. That is what is required. Moreover, why we always re-emphasize on boosters at school entry level? Now we know schools are a very dangerous ground for spread, for transmission. All pertussis transmission, diphtheria transmission, they occur in very high numbers in school. Now there are many schools which ask for your vaccination chart, but no one takes it seriously. No one ensures that a child has not taken vaccine, so he should take a vaccine. No one ensures. It is left to doctors only, to us only. And now we know very well the importance from all the data which I have showed, that if you want to prevent transmission, especially in school children, especially in schools, boosters are a must. So vaccine is required in infants, vaccine is required in toddlers, in preschoolers, in adolescents. We are ideally supposed to give Tdap vaccine every 10 yearly. Vaccine is required in adults also. vaccine is required in elderly also. In adults and elderly, it is not only required for their own protection, but especially because adults and elderly are in contact with our infants. So a cocooning effect will also be received if you give vaccination to adults and elderly. You might have heard many times that our elderly go to Western countries for some deliveries of their daughter-in-law or their daughters, and there they are told to take Tdap specifically to prevent transmission to the neonates and to the infant. Moreover, let me emphasize that Tdap is also advised in pregnancy also. We advise Tdap from 27 weeks to 36 weeks so that there will be a jump in antibodies, and those antibodies will be transferred transplacentally to a neonate, and there will be protection of the neonate from neonatal pertussis. So basically, friends, this is a circle of vaccination, and it is our job to keep it intact. Let it be vaccinating infants, toddlers, children, pregnant women, adults, or elderly. This circle of vaccination with DPT-based vaccine is a must. And for that, what we are having is a capital D, capital T vaccine that is called as full dose diphtheria, full dose tetanus vaccine, DTAP, or Tdap. Now, all these combinations, let it be a hexaxime, pentaxime, tetraxime, or Infanrix hexa, they are having this full D. And the Tdap, what is called as a booster dose, for example, Adacel, which is there from Sanofi, it is a Tdap vaccine. Okay. Here, let me tell you one basic. What happens is the reactogenicity of diphtheria is based on the antigenic content of diphtheria. Okay. Plus, diphtheria is very well immunogenic even at low doses in older children. So that is why we reduce the dose of diphtheria. But tetanus, what is the basic for tetanus? Tetanus adverse effects are not related to the content of tetanus vaccine. Tetanus adverse related events are related to the number of doses of tetanus. Now, you all have heard about the Arthus reaction. So what is Arthus reaction? It is an antigen-antibody complex reaction. So whenever there are antibodies in the body, and over the top of it, when you give antigen, it causes antigen-antibody complexes, and that is called as an Arthus reaction. So it is dependent on what? Is it dependent on the antigenic content of tetanus? No. It is dependent on the number of doses of tetanus what you give. So the basis you have understood that though diphtheria in adolescent we reduce the content, but tetanus we don't reduce the content, we keep it at the same. Remember, DTAP vaccines are to be used till 7 years of age, and above 7 only you have to use Tdap. Tdap is not for 5 years dose, that you have to emphasize. Then is it really so much necessary about we are talking about this capital D or small d? Yes. Now there is this study, those children which were primed already with DTAP IPV combination, the half people, that is 144 size, they were given capital D, capital T, and 128 subjects were given small d. So you see the seroprotection is very good when you are using a full dose diphtheria. It goes up to 86%, but the seroprotection is only 63% when you are boosting with only small diphtheria content. And that is why we specifically emphasize and we tell you that Tdap is not for a 5-year booster. Okay, only and only you have to use DTAP. Now, there was a part, if I remember 1 year or 1.5 years back, that DTP was not available. Neither tetraxime was easily available. So many people thought that no, I am not going to use this capital D, capital T because it is more reactogenic. So I'll use Tdap. And some people, I agree, they use Tdap for a while, for a few months. But friends, let me tell you, Tdap is not for 5 years booster. Reactogenicity, is it a big concern? Okay, let us see. Are there any data? Now, if you do a head-on trial between a tetraxime, that is a DTAP IPV, and a Tdap, you can see from this study that let it be pain, let it be swelling, let it be redness, fever and rash, it is almost similar. So using a DTAP IPV combination is not going to cause any serious adverse event, and the reactogenicity or the tolerability is at par with Tdap. So you are not supposed to worry about this DTAP IPV combination of 5 years. It is very, very safe also, and it is tolerated very well also, and it can be given with MMR or MMRV also. So that is not an issue. The safety studies where we are quite well studied, even in this Australia studies, what is written here. Let us not go into the depth. The side effects are very, very less. But then there is a thought, sir, now there is this DTWP combination also available and IPV also available separately in the form of polio vac. So can I give it separately? Yes, you can give it. Who is saying to you that you cannot give it? Definitely you can give it. But remember, what IIP always says that whenever there is a combination vaccine, you should prefer it over two separate vaccines. Number two, what about reactogenicity in older children? Now we know that DPT is very reactogenic in older children. Lot of swelling, induration already occurs. So when you have a DTAP combination available, why not to use it? And the third point about efficacy. Even our IAP ACVIP says that as far as boosters are concerned, let it be 18-month booster or let it be a 5 years booster, whether you use a cellular poultices vaccine or whether you use a WP vaccine, it does not make a difference. This is what IAP ACVIP says. So overall above, if a combination is available in the form of DTAP IPV, definitely it can be used. But if someone of you think that no, I want to use DTWP separately and IPV separately for some reasons, or let us say the child or the parents are not affording, then definitely you can use DTWP IPV. That is not an issue. Just ensure that your children are taking booster. That is what is more important, and that is what is the take-home message. Is there any immune persistence data? We have already seen with the WHO data. That WHO data was Indian data. And you know in India, we are using WP. But you saw the age of diphtheria, you saw the age of pertussis, that those were all children above the age of 5 years only. So definitely immunity is going to go down, but at least what we want that it should at least work for 5 to 7 years. So let us see what is our this vaccine tetraxine, which we are calling, is it immunogenic? We have already seen this, that when you give a booster, the seroprotection jumps up to 100%. The GMT titers also rise. And this is what is the immune persistent data. So after the initial jump, the GMT titers go down initially, but then there is a plateau. And even after the age of 5 years, whether diphtheria, tetanus, PT or FHA, you will see that the antibodies levels are well above the correlate of protection, what we are actually wanting. So we are going to get 5 years of immune persistence. That is for very much sure. So over and all, DTP IPV is giving you very good anamnestic response. It is also well tolerable, and immune persistence is given for at least 5 years. Now, some words about Tdap vaccine. Now, Tdap, as I have said you, Tdap should be used above 7 years age only. I again say the same point. Tdap should not be used at the age of 5 years. Now, let us see about Sanofi vaccine. Sanofi has both the brands. Sanofi has DTaP IPV also, and Sanofi has a Tdap also. So that is not an issue. But the take-home message is that Tdap is not for 5 years booster. Okay. So after 7 years, let us say there is a child who has come to you for catch-up vaccination. He has not taken any vaccine. Then you are supposed to give TD 0, 1 month and 6 months. Now, Western literature says that giving repeated Tdap is also safe. So if someone decides to give Tdap and Tdap as a catch-up vaccination, then that is also okay. Even IIP, ACYP say that you can use it. But on personal note, I will tell you that it is not immunologically superior to give Tdap. It is not needed. Especially in poor countries, I'll say that even if you give Tdap and TD as catch-up, that is also okay. The second point, if a child comes to you at 7.5 years, he has taken some doses, but he has forgotten his 5 years booster, then you are not supposed to use capital T, but at 7.5 years, it is better you use Tdap only. Third point, let us say if you have a child, it comes to a doctor for a wound and the doctor gives him a Tdap boosters at the age of, let us say, 8 years. Now, what to do about the 10 years booster? Irrespective of that, the child will have to be given a booster at 10 years doses also. Preferably, keep a gap of 3 years. So after 8, you will keep a gap of 3 years. At 11 years, you will have to give him his booster dose also. Okay. But if Tdap is not available or the person is not affording for Tdap, then you should use TD, but never use TT. We have already seen in the WHO data, diphtheria is so much rampant. 65% cases of diphtheria are occurring above the age of 5 years. So we cannot afford to give only TT. Now TT is out. Use TD only. Okay. Now these same recommendations are there in all countries. Let it be US, let it be India, let it be Korea. Japan, Australia, everyone is saying the same thing, that at 5 years you are supposed to use capital D, capital T, and IPV and Tdap only at the age of adolescent age. So to summarize, we are having this very good product Tetraxim, which is a 0.5 ml pre-filled syringe, which is a capital D and capital T for use. It is not a new vaccine. More than 80 countries are already using it. There were so many trials on thousands of children where immunogenicity has been proved, tolerability and safety has been proved. We know that this DTaP IPV is going to give you immune persistence for 5 years. We know that it is going to give you very good anamnestic response. We know that it can be concomitantly administered with MMRV. We know that now it is very much needed at the age of 5 years. It is very well tolerable. And so my recommendation will be, and even IAP, CVIP recommendation will be that yes, definitely DTaP IPV combination should be given at the age of 5 years, not only for the benefit of diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, but also for the benefit of polio, because we want to remove CVDPV and VAPP from India, that is for sure. To end with the discussion, this was a paper cutting which was there from Indian Express paper, I think around 10 days back. And it clearly mentions that this pandemic COVID has disrupted the DPT and measles vaccination. Not only we are falling backwards as far as these DTP boosters are concerned, but they specifically mentioned that our children's, especially the third dose, 8.5 million third doses were not given for DPT, and 8.9 million doses were not given for measles just because of COVID epidemic. So friends, you have to put all your efforts to see to it that all our children should be vaccinated from all the vaccines which are going to protect them from vaccine preventable disease. So it should be not that we are protecting our children from COVID and then there we are exposing them to other diseases, then that is going to nullify all the efforts to save children of our country and of this world. So vaccinate, don't hesitate, and save the children. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I end my lecture here, but I would be very happy if there will be some questions in the chat box. Dr. Sunil, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Yes.
So can you see the chat box? You can go to the chat box and answer me ask me if there are any questions. And I will specifically request, I'll stop the share now. I will request all the participants, they can open their videos and we can have a one-to-one discussion also. You can all open up your videos, and if you have any doubts or you want to discuss anything about any vaccine, not only about DTaP, IPV, about any vaccine, we can have a good discussion over here.
You have totally stopped using OPV, sir?
Yeah, I don't use. I just use OPV at birth dose only. I have not used OPV since the time I am using hexavalent vaccine. I don't give OPV at the time of IPV. So whenever we are using a full dose intramuscular IPV, we are not supposed to use OPV. This seeding effect of OPV is so dangerous. We will have to keep a watch for 5 years. Every time when you use OPV, we will be at danger of seeding for more 5 years. So even as a country, actually, we should stop. But what WHO says that only those countries which are not in neighborhood of any country which is having these outbreaks, or a country which is having 100% coverage of IPV, they only can stop OPV. That is what WHO says. So based on their recommendation now, our coverage is not 100%. Our coverage is already 60 to 70%. So that is why we follow the WHO recommendation of what we called as a sequential schedule of polio, that is OP with IPV. But ideally, we should be stopping use of OPV. It is something called as like self-bioterrorism, as I said. It is going to harm us in future. 1,000 cases of CVDPV in 2020 is too heavy burden.
Yeah, that's true.
At birth we give...
Amar, go ahead.
Okay. Sir, at birth we recommend OPV. So, is it not going to affect the um, means the spread of this vaccine
Vaccine
associated
derived
polio?
polio.
That's a
Vaccine.
good question. See, birth dose of OPV never gives rise to VAPP, first of all, number one. Now, there was a lot of discussion that whether birth dose of OPV can give rise to CVDPV. Okay, you are asking the same question, isn't it?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
for CVDPV to occur, that vaccine virus will have to undergo circulation through multiple guts, and that too over many years. Okay, then and then only a birth dose of OPV can become a CVDPV. Otherwise, just because of some replication going on into the gut of the newborn, CVDPV does not occur. So, birth dose of OPV, it does not give rise to VAPP. Birth dose of OPV does not give rise to CVDPV. And that is why at present, they said that it is okay to start, continue with birth dose of OPV. But even Western countries like USA, they have stopped using birth dose of OPV also. But at present, it is okay. It is not at any danger in India. Now, there was this concept, can you IPV? So, birth dose of IPV was also a concept. But we know that IPV is in very severe shortage. So, it is a very priceful commodity. When we give a birth dose of IPV, the seroprotection is hardly 10% or 20%. So we cannot waste IPV on birth dose. Government does not have that much IPV. Already they are using 0.1 ml and 0.1 ml fractional. So from where are they going to give full dose IPV at birth dose? So that concept is also out. And as we know, birth dose OPV is not causing VAPP. It is not causing CVDPV. So it is safe. You can give it at present. But after that, no OPV. You have to stop it in private practice. But let me saying that, suppose a child comes to you at 18 years, you have used a quadrivalent vaccine. What we are recommending you to give IPV. But if you don't give IPV, don't send him back without any dose. Okay. IAP also says that don't send a child without polio. You have to give IPV. But if you have not given IPV, then use OPV, but give something.
So is there any difference between this fractional IPV and regular dose IPV as far as seroconversion is concerned?
Yeah. The two fractional doses of IPV, overall the efficacy is only 70% only. And the intramuscular doses, the two doses is giving a seroprotection of 95%, and 3 doses is giving seroprotection of 100% approximately. So fractional ID IPV 2 doses are not optimal. To cover that up, then what government does? The government gives OPV also along with fractional ID. So they do this so that at least the child will get some humoral, some and intestinal. That is what is their funda. But actually it is suboptimal. We should not be using fractional. That is why what IAP says, that if you get a child in your clinic who has used a fractional 2 doses, then you convince him to take 2 more doses of 0.5 ml intramuscular IPV. 2 more doses, that is what IAP says. So keep a gap of 8 weeks after the fractional dose and give 2 more IM IPV with a gap of 8 weeks. If he is not affordable for 2, at least see to it that child gets 1 dose of IM IPV. That is what IAP says. Because it is based on the same thing, that fractional is not going to give you optimal efficacy.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Amar, chat box मध्ये काही questions आहेत का?
नाही आहेत.
Okay. Sir, something about trials of COVID vaccine, where they are the results are out in 12 to 18 years.
What are basically? Novavax, which is a lipid nanoparticle based subunit vaccine, is going to be a game changer, I'll tell you. So it is going to be a very good vaccine. And even it will be a very good vaccine for us to get a booster. So now there is a
Okay.
booster going on. Now we
Yeah.
know that why we are not showing that Covishield, whether it will be good for taking boosters is a very question mark. We use chimpanzee adenovirus because we knew that we were not exposed to chimpanzee adenovirus, isn't it?
Yeah.
But now we have already received 2 doses of Covishield. So
Yeah.
already we have some antibodies against chimpanzee adenovirus also. So when we
Mm-hmm.
are going to give a booster after 1 year, how will our body or the antibodies react to that booster, that we don't know. So
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
Covishield be a good booster for Covishield people? That is a big question mark.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
even for boosters now, they are saying that it should be Novavax which should come, or at least you should use a different DNA or mRNA vaccine. That
Mm-hmm.
is a recent thing. Now more studies are required, but I can't give a
But
recommendation.
COVAX trials are 2 years, 2 years and above, no, sir?
Vaccine
They were.
trials are already going on 2 years and above. They have already completed the 12 to 18 years trial. They have already completed. They will soon publish the data about 12 to 18 years. Government is not going to allow you. At present, we have completed hardly 8 to 10% of our two
Topic.
doses vaccination of our country.
Mm-hmm.
So till the time our vaccination for adults and elderly go above 60, 70%, government is not going to allow you vaccination for children. That is for sure. It will not allow you. Even the
Yeah.
app will not accept it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be vaccinating next year, sir.
No, might be. See, children don't stand anywhere. Na? Hardly 0.5% children are getting admitted in ICU. Hardly there were 6% of children who are getting infected. And it was proven in many, many studies that children are not the transmitter of disease, but the adults are transmitting children's the disease.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there is no justification that children should be a priority for vaccination. There is no justification at all. So now at present, they are on the last line. First elderly, then comorbidities, then adult, then pregnancy. Last will be children's last.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Is Dr. Pooja there? Dr. Pooja or Sagar Mane?
Sir, Pooja, I think just now left because he has got some issue with the electricity.
Okay. Mr. Deva, you are there. So anything from your side?
No, nothing, sir. It was great. I think you covered all the relevant points required for especially for full dose of BCG vaccine at 4.5 years, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Amar.
Yeah.
Amar, conclude.
So, yes. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Amar is lost.
I think there's some network issue. Yeah.
Sunil, carry on.
Yeah. On behalf of Kolhapur Academy of Pediatrics, we thank sir for giving such a wonderful lecture
Thank
on
you for providing
full dose
MPV and providing us with the clear-cut
Amar,
guidelines in such a simple language.
Amar, complete अजून एकदा.
तुझा आवाज ऐकू येत नव्हता परत.
There is a network issue with Amar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Sunil, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. On behalf of Kolhapur Academy of Pediatrics, I thank Sagar Kulkarni sir for giving such a brief and concise talk on full dose Tdap vaccine and IPV. Still, till now, I was also not using it. What was recommended. So from today onwards, I need to change myself first. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Nice hearing you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Sunil, for giving this up.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
think there is some network problem. I think there is some network problem. There are some people still there. So have a good night. Stay safe, stay healthy. So we will leave the meeting. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.